Episode 132 of 5 Drinks to Midnight. In the show, we bring the questions, guests bring the drinks, we try to wrap up before midnight. Today we're at Smooth Ambler, talking to the founder, John Little. But before we do, like and subscribe, hit the bells, the whistles, leave a comment if you like what we're doing. Let's get started. Having us at Smooth Ambler. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing awesome. We've got a good day.
It's been a fucking awesome day. So this has been great. I really appreciate you joining the show. Honestly, like this has been looking forward to this. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man, and really appreciate your time.
I'm glad you're here. I'm really glad you're here. I love talking about Smooth Ambler. I love talking to people about what we do here. What I think makes it special. So great to be here.
Awesome. I guess first question. What are we drinking first?
We're going to drink Contradiction bourbon.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the first thing. So you ready?
Yeah, please.
All right, perfect. So this is Contradiction is a blend of product that we make and product that we source. Right, that's where the name comes from. So this is it's a blend of a wheaty bourbon made in West Virginia and 2 low rye bourbons. One made in Indiana and a little bit made in Tennessee. It's about a spoonful of it.
Okay.
Not much influence in it. It's 92 proof, unchill filtered. It's probably I started with this one because it's like the most easy to drink entry into bourbon that we have. We make a lot of things that are high proof, right? Bold whiskeys, and this is a nice, easy into the category. And so I thought we'd start with this first.
Awesome.
Yep.
Cheers.
Absolutely. Cheers.
This is fucking yummy. I already like this. Been drinking it all day.
It's good, man. It's good.
Oh, it's so damn good. Okay.
When we blended this whiskey, one of the things that I really, really loved about it was the fact that it's so creamy. And I still get that now, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it other than just like,
Yeah.
right, I want to lick my lips. I want to roll my tongue right in my mouth. I love the flavor of the whiskey.
Yeah, no, it's just so good.
Yeah, just delicious.
Oh, storm is
I
just
know.
roll through.
It's always something.
Like sunny like 30 minutes ago, and now we just had this wonderful storm.
Poured rain all day,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Sunny right here before this, and now kind of messy again.
Alright, question one, always an origin story. You don't have a whiskey background. You're not like from one of the famous families. You're not a No or like a Beam or any of those. But how'd you get started in the whiskey business?
You know, we're in southern West Virginia, right? And we were looking for a business. We kind of fell into the whiskey business. We were looking for a business that made an impact in our community and showcased what we love about living here, right? We spend the day doing some ATV riding, right, through beautiful parts of West Virginia, and we think we live in a beautiful place here. We think the people here are wonderful. You've met a lot of people, whether the restaurants here, the people that do some catering for us, the people that work here at the distillery. So we love that, right? We love this beautiful greenery that we have everywhere, and we really wanted to showcase that. And so we were looking to create something that added value, and we got lucky, man. We saw an article, my father-in-law saw an article in Time magazine that talked about the growth of the micro distilling business, and that was the masthead that led us off.
Yeah.
That was in 2008, opened our doors in 2010, and we just celebrated 14 years in business.
Awesome. You talked, one of the things you did, there was an article about how like I love the father-in-law, like, because my adopted mother sends me stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
You're like, you should do this, and it's like a newspaper clipping or such and such does it, so I love that. But you went to Kentucky, you like did the Bourbon Trail, and then you talk about the love of like going to Vendo and like being like Willy Wonka.
It's magic.
Yeah.
Right. So it turns out right after my father-in-law saw that article, like 10 days later was a conference in Louisville called the ADI, American Distilling Institute, and we signed up for it, and we didn't know shit. Like I didn't really know why bourbon was brown. Right. That's how rookie I was in the business. That was 2008. It was March of 2008. The conference was in April. we went there and we spent a couple of days right across the river at a place called Huber, Starlight Winery, right? They do bourbon as well, and really nice folks over there. The conference was there, and we went in Louisville and we toured Maker's Mark and Wild Turkey, and I went to Vendome. And I looked at those pieces of equipment, those stills, right? The columns and the doublers and all the things that are fastened to the still, the doors, and just all of that stainless that they make, and stainless agitators, and the fermenters and the mash tanks. And to see them, I remember the first time I had really seen stainless steel combined, welded to, or fitted to copper, right? Like that kind of very pure industrial thing to more of an artistic style, right? And to see that those two come together, I remember thinking to myself, I remember exactly where I was standing and where I was looking. I could walk into Vendome right now. Don Hoffenroth, a guy who owns Dry Fly Distilling, was to my right. He had just opened up his distillery, and I knew then and there that this was going to be the business that I spent my life in. And I don't know how I knew it. I don't know why I've had that feeling, but I did. And here we are 14 years. Well, that was 14 years we've been open. So that was 16 years ago. And here we are 16 years ago, right? And the guy that I started the business with, a guy named John Foster, he works for ADI now. So look how the full circle we've come, right? It's pretty interesting.
And again, just the tour here is absolutely amazing. We just did it. It's fucking amazing. When you went, did you have a favorite tour in Kentucky? Like,
it's hard, yeah. I've done a bunch of tours now over the years. It's hard not to love Maker's Mark, right? The facility is just really beautiful. The people, when I went there, again, I didn't know anything, and they were so welcoming and wanting to share everything with all of these prospective distillers. And I found that to be, as a business person, I found that to be rare. Like, these people are going to share everything they know, and their enthusiasm and passion for the spirit and the process, and share it with these young, budding people in the business. And that part of the distilling business has always been that way. Like, everybody is willing to share, and so it's really hard not to love Maker's Mark. And that's the first place that I ever toured, and it has a special place in my heart for me. I love the place, and so just a really cool place.
It's awesome. Yeah. Well, I think that's one fucking hell of an origin story.
Yeah, awesome.
Cheers to you,
sir. Cheers to you. Cheers.
Awesome. Question 2, drink 2. What are we drinking?
Old Scout 7.
Yeah.
All right. So, we started our business in 2010. We opened our doors in 2010. And we were a tiny little distillery, right? So we were 175-gallon pot still, making a little bit of vodka and a little bit of gin. Right? What a lot of the craft folks were doing. Right. Making a little bit of whiskey whenever we could. And we realized we just weren't big enough. So we went to Vendome. We were going to buy our second still. I met a guy there named Rob Sherman, who's one of the owners of Vendome, and he started talking to me about somebody who brokers whiskey, sources whiskey, and I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about, right? Like, nowadays, right, if you want to start a brand, you would start sourcing whiskey, and if the brand was good enough, maybe you could build a distillery. We were done. We did the opposite. We did the opposite, right? So we started sourcing whiskey. It was the first thing that we had was regular Old Scout. It was a high rye bourbon. We went through a bunch of bourbons. Found the one we loved. It was a high rye bourbon, 60% corn, 36% rye, and 4% malted barley. And it was 5 years old when we first started sourcing it, and then 6, and then 7, and then it just became what everybody referred to as Old Scout 7. Okay. And then in 2016, we ran out of inventory. We didn't buy enough inventory from 2011 to 2016. We ran out of inventory. And this just came back. So we just brought out properly age-stated Old Scouts. High rye, 7 years old, 99 proof, unchill filtered. It's been at the distillery since January. It's been in the market now for about a month, and this is big, bold, cherry pipe tobacco, leather. This is a delicious whiskey. Stands up well in a cocktail. Neat, drinks neat. Just love it.
Yeah.
Love this.
It's fucking great.
Yeah. Cheers.
Oh, my buddies from TSR got me hooked on Old Scout because they've done 2 barrel picks with you guys. So they have the Baby Unicorn, which is
Baby Unicorn.
Yeah, all that. Question 2: the note that your father-in-law had given you. It was something along the lines of, we can do this in your garage.
Right. The joke now is we didn't have a $2 million garage, so we had to build it. There's a little smart-ass comment that says, we can call this like West Virginia shine or whatever. He had a very different. I mean, he's a high-end architect, but his idea was much more like rooted in West Virginia history. Ultimately, we decided that really was the path we were going to go down. We wanted to showcase West Virginia as not being another moonshine facility, right? Playing on that West Virginia illicit production of alcohol angle. We really wanted to create something here that everybody could be proud of when all of the people that are from West Virginia that maybe now work in another area, they could be proud of when they taste this whiskey and share with their friends and celebrate with their friends. And that's really where we really changed that before we opened up our office.
And you've been, the past 2 days has been amazing, and you've been talking a lot about, being acquired by Pernod Ricard, but I think the biggest thing was that you talk about building better whiskey and safer whiskey.
Yeah, we like to tease, right? We love to tease. I've teased a lot here. I'll say it all around, right? We like to tease about somebody being our corporate overlords.
Right.
Like, that's a joke, right?
Yeah.
They don't really mean that, right? Like, the people there are really wonderful. They're as much like a family business as any large business can be. I mean, they're giant, right? They're the second largest wine and spirits distribution company or producer, I guess not distribution, but just manufacturer in the world, right? And so they're huge, right? Employ thousands and thousands of people all over. One of the things that they've focused on is they've really given us the resources that we need to make better whiskey. So whether that's reaching out to a guy named Dr. Don Livermore who works in Windsor, or Jessica Chin or Tom Viehazel, people that really help run the group of American distillers here in West Virginia. There's 4 of us, right? It's us, TX, Rabbit Hole, and Jefferson's are all in the same group. So there are plenty of resources. And then the other founders, right? There's Trey and there's Kaveh. And, so having access to all of those people and being surrounded by people that have done this so much, but we just make better whiskey.
Yeah.
And of course, Pernod has a giant global initiative, which safety is paramount. And so, do you want to wear a bump cap under your hat? No, right? When you've been in a small business, you want to do what you've done, and you don't want to ask for permission. But the reality of it is, it's the right thing to do, right? They don't want anybody to get hurt. We don't want anybody to hurt. I want it to be hurt. I want everybody to go home with more money in their pocket than they came to work for. But occasionally, we don't want to ask for permission.
Right. Just want to do it.
It's ingrained in entrepreneur, small business people. We just want to go do it.
Right.
So, but it's better. We make better whiskey. We make it safer. We're a better company because of that. And so it's been a really wonderful thing.
Awesome. Well, my question 2 is for you: is what's the future? Like, what's next?
Somebody told me a while back, a guy named John Foster, a guy I started the business with, and he says, it's something I think about a lot. He says the best whiskey that a heritage distillery has ever made is probably in the past. Everybody loves to talk about the dusty, right? And they want to talk about these old whiskeys and how great they were, why they aren't as good as they are now, right? I think some of that is historical. Like you always think that maybe history is more kind,
right?
In some ways. So, but I'm convinced that the whiskey that we have in the barrel is the best whiskey that is ever going to, the best whiskey is yet to come, right? And so I just continue to think that the future is brighter and brighter because I know the changes we made at the production facility. We're better at making whiskey, we're better at blending whiskey, we're better at sourcing whiskey, and all of those things mean that the whiskey that's going into a bottle tomorrow is better than whiskey that went into the bottle today. And that constant improvement is hugely important for us. And we made some changes we were talking about earlier, these changes we made in 2018. I think the whiskey that's going to come out in the next year or 2 is, it's 100% better than the whiskey that we have in the bottle today. And we're really proud of what we do. The whiskey's delicious, but I think the whiskey of the future is even better. So that's what's coming. We're sourcing our whiskeys. Our source whiskey is getting older. Our homemade distillate is getting better, and it's getting older. The whiskeys that we're finishing and blending that we're going to taste in a minute, I got some cool things to taste. All of that's getting better. So I couldn't be more excited about the future. I think people think of the heyday of Smooth Ambler as being 2013 through 16 and these older single barrels. And I think the future of Smooth Ambler is brighter than the past. That's what excites me.
No, and I agree, because I think, again, I love a good dusty. But again, a 1980s bottle doesn't have the technology of like something that we're doing today.
Right.
Does it taste better? Not usually. Like, honestly, like you crack that dusty and you're like,
it's a little funky.
Yeah, you're like, fuck, what was that? Like, what the hell?
They can be, I have some whiskeys that people think, man, this is great, this old dusty whiskey. I'm like,
Yeah. But like, and again, you were talking about like the analysis that you guys have done to improve Smooth Ambler.
Yep.
I just think it's fucking amazing. Again, it just keeps getting better and better.
It really does, and it's not our opinion, not just our opinion. I mean, it is our opinion, but it's not just our opinion. We have data.
This shows,
off of a gas chromatograph, not only just by the gas chromatograph we have here, but the gas chromatograph they had at Hiram Walker. We know our distillate is getting better, and we have the data to back that up, right? So, I just can't wait for everybody to taste that whiskey, whether it's 2 years from now, or 5 years from now, or 7 years from now. So and all these experiments that we're doing, we haven't even talked about it yet. We have a cooperage that started over here. It's probably been 5 years ago now. The most technologically advanced cooperage in the world over here. We felled some trees. I don't remember when that was. Maybe 6 years ago. We knocked down some trees on the north facing slope. We knocked all those down. We hand selected the logs that we liked. We made those logs into staves at the stave mill here. They yard aged them for 2 years. They made a barrel from that wood, and then we put West Virginia distillate in it. West Virginia distillate, where we selected West Virginia logs. West Virginia made it a West Virginia stave mill, and a cooperage made it in West Virginia with West Virginia distillate and aged in West Virginia, and that whiskey's 4 years old. The average age of those trees, I think, is 137 years old. Right, so really old wood, and that stuff is sitting in a barrel.
Yeah.
Right, so we're going to taste that whiskey in 2 or 3 or 4 years from now, and it's going to be almost exclusively made in West Virginia. The glass won't be from West Virginia. The cork won't be from West Virginia. Most everything else is West Virginia.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
All right, that's awesome.
So those are the things that we're working on, and that's what gives us excitement about the future.
Awesome.
Yep.
And then just a quick follow-up, just because again, I love the New York Times kind of article that you're following. If you were going to write a piece of advice for somebody on a New York Times article, what would your piece of advice be if someone wanted to get into the whiskey business?
Obsess over every detail.
Okay.
And you cannot. I guess there's a point of mental health, right? You don't want to be unhealthy. Right, but obsess over every detail. If the corn is not 100% right the moment you get it in, reject it.
Okay.
If you think you're not, if you've made a batch of whiskey and you haven't done it right, whatever. You make it, you carry it through distillation. Don't put it into a barrel. Make sure that everything you do, from grain receipt to a bottle that leaves here, is upheld to the standard that you would want 10 years from now. Right. So don't think about every little bit of money and how this is going to impact me. Do what's right for your brand. If it was 20 years old and you had unlimited resources, obsess over every detail and cut no corners, and hold yourself and your whiskey and your people to the highest standard. Awesome. It's the only way to make a product that stands out from the crowd. Awesome. And I don't think we've skipped corners over that. Certainly we've made some mistakes that we'd like to take back over the years. If you don't think you've made mistakes, you're not really accurately looking at yourself in the mirror. But I think you've got to hold yourself to the highest standard you can possibly can, and also just obsess over every little thing that you do. Awesome. I like that.
Awesome. There we go. Question 2.
Yeah.
Cheers
right.
to you.
Cheers, man. Cheers.
Question 3. Drink 3. What are we drinking?
We're gonna drink a custom barrel selection of Old Scout.
Okay.
So it's the same product that we tasted with Old Scout 7, but this is a barrel that the crew here at the distillery selected for our visitor center, and it's 9 years old. I think this one is 117.6 proof and 9 years old. So we do these releases from time to time at the distillery just to have nice things here at the visitor center. And probably Andy and the crew picked this barrel out. They would have lined up, maybe 10 or 12 bourbons, probably maybe 8 or 10 bourbons, and they would nose through all of them, take the ones that they like the nose out of, taste the ones that they don't like the nose out of, maybe they leave behind. For today, they pull the other ones out. They'll taste through all of these and pick the one they like, and then we'll put it in the bottle in the visitor center at cash drink. Okay. So this one is the 9 years old. Different retailers will have their and enthusiast groups will have their own barrels of these, right? We allow retailers or enthusiast groups to come in and pick a cask of these. We either do those remotely or we do those here on site. Okay. This one obviously was done on site and only for the visitor center. So this will be the same thing we just drank, but cask strength 9 years old, and you'll be hopefully, you'll be really impressed with bigger, bolder flavors, right? A little bit more maturity on there, so a little more complex notes on this, probably a little more fruit forward on this, maybe a little more spice forward on this, but certainly cash strength. So we've gone from 99 proof to now 117.6.
Cheers.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm so excited.
Oh,
that's big, right?
That's
big.
Wow. All right. Fuck yeah. Oh, that's nice. That is.
The tobacco on this one is. This smells like wet tobacco. It's like, it's terrible. I remember people, when I was a kid, that would chew tobacco, pouch tobacco. And that's what this reminds me of. The nose off this is just big wet tobacco.
Yeah.
Some brown sugar, some spice on it.
Oh, now that you say it, I get it. It's like a spit cup. It really is.
Yeah.
All right.
Some light vanilla, but it's kind of at the end of the nose.
Oh, that's nice. It's fun.
That's nice, right? That's so long.
All right, question 3.
Yeah.
We call this our talking shit segment because we're 3 drinks in. So, question 3. What is your biggest pet peeve about the bourbon industry?
Biggest pet peeve, bullshit.
Okay.
You know, just tell me the truth, right? Tell me the truth about what you're doing. Don't feed us a line of bullshit. Like if you're a celebrity and you have something to do with this brand, tell us exactly what that is.
Yeah.
Right? If you didn't create the brand, don't lie to me. Don't lie to me and tell me that. I get so aggravated when I feel like people are just blowing smoke up my ass all the time. Just be honest with me. Is the juice good?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, great. That's whatever. That's 50% of it, right? Or 70%. It should be 90%, right? But don't lie to me. Just tell me what your relationship is. It's like old Scout folks, right? Like it was paramount. It was a pillar of our business to be truthful about this whiskey, right? We do not make this. We source this whiskey. We've never hid that fact. It says it on the back of the label. I want everybody in the business to be that. That's my goal.
Yeah.
And yet, these stories, there are stories in this business that are amazing. There are so many brands that have all of this historical context of how bourbon was made, where it was sold, how it was traded. Tell me that story. You don't have to make up some bullshit and make up some dreamy story to sell it. Tell me the real story. If the juice is good, we'll buy it.
Yeah.
And that ultimately, I don't ever want to be ungrateful for what we have. We feel very, very fortunate. We're grateful for the fans. It's certainly not that part. It's the other brands. Tell us all the truth.
Okay.
And I think that's really where we stand. I can get really, really sour about it.
No.
I try not to.
That's our question 3.
Yeah, be honest about it. Just tell me the truth about it.
All right.
Tell me the truth about it. The whiskey's good. You tell me the truth about it. It's wonderful. Right?
Okay.
So I'm not under, as a friend of mine says, we're not under any misconception that Mrs. Hellman's is sitting in the back.
Right. Yeah.
It seems like that's the story that so many of these brands tell. Right?
Yeah. We found a recipe in Grandpa's shoe, and we decided to make it. And
is it really handmade? I mean, somebody might have touched it along the way. just tell us the truth, right? That's kind of what we're doing.
I thought maybe your biggest one would have been that bourbon needs to be made in Kentucky. So like that's.
Oh dang! Do we have like 3A and 3B?
Yeah.
We'd like to know how many people came into the distillery and told us that you can't make bourbon in West Virginia.
Right.
I got 20,000 barrels.
It says different.
Right? Yeah, but we fought that fight long enough. We love Kentucky bourbon. We had an advertising campaign at one point in time that talked about not from Kentucky, and lots of people got sour about it. We love Kentucky bourbon. We're not talking bad about Kentucky bourbon. We've talked about Kentucky bourbon a bunch of times and how much I love it.
Yep.
That's some of my favorite bottles are made in Kentucky, right? But it doesn't only have to come from Kentucky.
Yeah.
And you can drink things that are outside of Kentucky. And so that's what we want to share. We don't want to be just like everybody else. We want to create something different. We think we've done that.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
That's awesome.
We don't source any Kentucky bourbon. I'm not against sourcing Kentucky bourbon, right? I drink a lot of them. but we do something else.
Nice. And no, and again, I think what you've done here and talking about West Virginian pride and like that, it's just an amazing experience. So like, it's just been so great to be a part of the past 2 days, just being of that.
I'm glad you're here.
No, thank you. Yes, no, it is extremely special. Like that's like, again, just from the visitor center to the tour to just the town, it's been really fucking amazing.
Well, I appreciate that. It seems like we're, doing a sales pitch, but pretty much everybody that comes here, we like to treat people that come here for these events, right, that you're part of, that we want to do things with those people that are the same way we would do something with friends if they came here and spent a weekend, right? We go ride some ATVs, we go whitewater rafting, if maybe Pernod would let us, maybe we would go shoot sporting clays. I think that's gone.
Yeah.
But right, we want to do things with people that are with the same thing we would do with our friends. And so that's important for us. We want you to experience what it's like for us to be here.
Yeah.
And so we think we live in a really wonderful place. We're proud of what we do here. We're proud of our community, and we like to showcase that.
Yeah, sure. No, and I mean, just again, because I know we took over the visitor center, the group of us, but the couple that was in there today when we showed up, and that lady, again, bless her heart, because she was just like, I'm buying a bottle of rye, and her husband's like, I'm not, and she's like, nope, I love that. She was just into it.
She was determined to buy a bottle of rye before she walked in the door.
Oh, that's good.
We have a shirt that says all rye, all rye, all rye.
Yeah.
You see, she's leaving with it.
Yeah, so that was, again, it really is a fucking special place, and I appreciate the invite, and again, not a sales, but it just really is something that I'm so glad to be a part of it today.
We work as hard on hospitality as we work on making whiskey. I think it's evident from everybody here, right? We work hard.
Yeah.
And I think people who come here, maybe if you come in here one time to the distillery, you don't get that same experience. It's hard to do that in-depth experience. We certainly work on that. But people who spend any amount of time here, we want them to feel like they're part of our friend group, our family. Right?
Gotcha.
And so it's hard to do, right?
Yeah.
But we work hard at that.
Awesome. There we go. Question
Perfect.
3.
All right. Cheers. I don't have any left.
Fuck.
Again.
Question 4, drink 4.
Perfect.
What are we drinking?
We're drinking a fairly new product. It's only been released in the tasting room, the visitor center. Hasn't been out in the market. This is the Smooth Ambler Founders Cask Straight Finish or Cask Finish. This is a straight wheat whiskey.
All right.
It's wheat whiskey, not wheated bourbon. And we finished this in a Vino de Raja cask.
Thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening.
We should probably start over.
Yeah.
Wow!
Was that just a surge?
Oh God! I hope so. What if we lose all right here? It's gonna be the 3 drinks. It's gonna be the 3 drinks. 3 drinks.
It's just gonna be us in the dark, but yeah.
Man, that's how bad it's storming here. Holy cow!
Oh shit! All right. Wow.
We should leave that in.
Yeah.
We should just continue. All right, so we're drinking Smooth Ambler Founders Cask Finish. So this is a straight wheat whiskey, not a wheated bourbon, but a straight wheat whiskey. And this is a finished in a Vino de Raja cask, right? So a Spanish orange wine. This has only been available, like I said, at the visitor center, and this is delicious. I know we tasted a little bit of this last night. This has been a home run for us. Just an absolute home run for us, and so this is the second release. It's sitting in a barrel right now, and will come into the visitor center in a week or so.
Okay.
A couple weeks probably.
Cheers. Yes. I'm gonna need a bottle of that. That's so deep good.
That's another easy drinker right there. Right? So it's a little bit more like contradiction than the last 2 things that we drank. Easy to drink, sweet on the end. I would typically finish with this, right, because it's a finished whiskey, a little sweeter on the end, and you want to have that, but we're going to finish with a big bomb on the last one, so really excited about it.
Yeah, when Andy poured that last night, that was just, fucking amazing.
Yeah, so good.
All right, so question 4. You've been quoted in saying that bourbon brings people together to celebrate the special moments in life. And I love that, because that's like what we're all about. And again, like last night at the bar, like it's exactly proven point. Like we walked in, everybody looked at us, but by the end of the night, we were laughing, hugging, and everybody was together. Like it was fucking amazing.
Well, you ordering shots,
that
might have helped.
Well, but again, it brought everybody together.
Bringing everybody together.
For you, proudest moment both professional and personal.
Oh, wow. Ooh, I was unprepared for that one. I want to back up and say one thing. That quote is a stolen quote from a guy named Reed Bechtel. He came in here, he runs a very, probably the oldest group that's picked single barrels over the years, a group called 1789B. And he came in here and told me that, and it has been like marching orders for me. Right? Bourbon is just the vessel that brings us together. And it is absolutely means so much to me, and I have tried to make that the biggest part of what we do. And yeah, it really, really matters. What is the proudest moment that I've had professionally? I think I know, which is when we first started sourcing Old Scout, we bought some. There was Old Scout, like I talked about 5 and 6 and 7, then we had a little Old Scout rye. And we had an opportunity to buy 21 barrels of really old versions of Old Scout that were 14 through 21 years old. And I spent about 4 months working on those blends. And we had a 14-year-old release, a 17-year-old release, an 11, a 14, a 17, and a 19-year release. And we sold those bottles, really, we were dumb. We sold those bottles for like $60 a bottle in the visitor center. And I think the last one I saw, the last 19-year-old that I saw traded went for $2,880. We could learn a lot about business, right? Larry Ebersold was the man who made that whiskey. He was what people now would call him as the master distiller. I think he would call himself as the production manager at Seagram's. He made that whiskey years ago, and I gave him a bottle. He's been a consultant with us now since maybe 14. We sourced that whiskey and blended that whiskey maybe 12. And he became a consultant for us in 2014, and he's become a great friend of mine. And I call him regularly just to say hi and to ask him a few questions that nobody else can answer. And he had a bottle of very old Scout that we had blended, and he said, I made really good whiskey, and you made it better. And I got to tell you, when a guy who's been in the business, Jim Rutledge from Four Roses, told me that Larry Ebersold was the smartest man that ever made American whiskey, I thought, that's a pretty high standard. Yeah. That's a pretty high standard. So professionally, that's probably the greatest compliment I've ever had. I certainly take that to heart because it comes from someone who I respect and trust as being just a pioneer in our field. And so that really is meaningful to me. I take those things really to heart. Personally, really what I like here is, what I really like is every day I like seeing people who are part of our team having maybe there's some of that which is a little bit prideful, which is people that I hired, right? I don't have any operational responsibilities. I don't have the ones that I used to have, right? I do more marketing, more face of the brand things, but people that I hired years ago who are now who are getting promotions at Smooth Ambler, who are growing in their field, who now can afford things that maybe they could have never been able to afford, that live better lives here. Seeing the business and the employees of the business flourish, to me, that's personally rewarding, right? I get fulfilled by seeing all of those people. I mean, you spent some time with Andy over the last couple of days, right? I mean, to see that guy, to see what he's become, and to see him become so good in his craft, and to see Travis doing that, and to see Jill doing that, and to see John Burns, who was in here, Chris, and Ty, Stu, all these people that are, right, that means so much to me. And I think, honestly, that's more rewarding than anything. I want those people to be happy, and I want those people to continue to be professionally and personally fulfilled at their job. And that matters to me.
No, and I think that actually says a lot about you and your character, which I absolutely love, because you talked last night about, Andy's going on fucking 10 years. He's been with you for 10 years.
I didn't realize that until he said, I thought it was 8.
Yeah.
He told me or not.
Yeah,
It was 10 years. 10.
And then also with Jill, like, you talk about how, like, Jill's, you've tried to hire her, like, 2 or 3 times already.
She would not come to work.
Yeah, she would not, and now here she is. And, like, just like that, like, I did a talk a long time ago about management, and but it was more in the creative world. But there's a saying here that we have in America where I have people that are willing to die for me.
Right.
And I hate that saying, because that means that if I have people willing to die for me, that they're going to die and I have to find new people. And I changed it to I have people that are willing to kill for me. And that's what you have, because you have people that are here and believe in you and whatever, and they're willing to go in being like, I know how to get rid of that body, like kind of thing. Like that's the thing. Like, you have people and you built that, and you care about your people, therefore your people care about you. And I think that just says a lot about the brand and just the character of not only the man behind it, but also just the brand itself. So I think that's
awesome.
Fucking awesome. So
yeah, thank you, man.
Cheers to you.
I love our people. People don't really leave Smooth Ambler, right? We've had a few people, and of course I would never begrudge someone for trying to improve their life, right? That's the goal here.
Yeah.
The goal here is you've only got a short amount of time here, right? I want you to be endlessly happy, and I want you to make more money. If you can go do that somewhere else, you should leave, right? Smooth Ambler is a business, right? It will run without you. It'll run without me. Right? It'll run without anybody in this building, unfortunately, right? I like to think I'm really important, but we're not, right? It'll run without us, right? Somebody does something tomorrow and they're really, really dumb, it runs without them, right? But it matters. These people, when people say it's just business, it's never just business. It's always personal. People take these things home, right? They carry work problems home and it affects their life. And if you create a work environment that is not a positive work environment, then you're a terrible boss. You're a terrible manager. If you don't lead people, if you don't guide them, if you don't work to make their lives better at work, so therefore they are both professionally and personally fulfilled, then you should leave and go do something else. Right? This is not what we're looking for here. And so I have not been perfect at that. I have lost my temper. I have done things that I am not proud of, right, when I've got in the heat of the moment. But we make whiskey. We don't make dialysis machines. Right. If somebody doesn't get their case tomorrow, they might get mad, but they're going to be fine.
But did you die?
They will still live.
They will still live, right? Like my wife she's a nurse practitioner. She has a real job. Like she takes care of things where people's lives are at stake. That's not what we're doing, right? I mean, other than the safety thing, right? If somebody didn't get their case, their bottle, the tasting room closes early, like they're going to be okay. And we can't lose sight of that. And I have lost sight of that occasionally, right? I've been driven, but I want people to be happy here. I want them to feel like this is meaningful work for them. And I want them to go home again, safe, with more money in their pocket, and feel good about the work that they did. So I've worked really hard to try to do that. So that's the goal.
Yeah, awesome. Question 5, drink 5.
Drink 5.
Last drink of the night.
Last drink of the night.
What are we drinking?
Favorite one.
All right.
I'm excited to pour it. Maybe the thing I'm most proud of.
Okay.
So this is the Founders Cask Strength Series Straight Rye Whiskey. It's not exactly rolling off the tongue.
Okay.
It's a mouthful. It's a mouthful to say. It's a mouthful in the glass.
All right.
So this is a whiskey that we helped. That Larry Ebersold helped us make. This is 88% rye whiskey and 12% malted barley, and we use a very unusual cooking style, a mashing style. We use an infusion style cooking. So we cook this at a much cooler temperature than you would cook typically a mash, right? Most of the time you take that corn, or if you're cooking rye, like a rye bourbon, you would take the corn and rye up, you would cool it down, you would add the malt, you would cool it down, and then you would take it to the fermenter. We cook that rye grain at a much lower temperature, and we break down those starches, and then we heat it up, and then we add the malt, and we get convert the starch into sugar, and then we cool it back down. So it never goes above the strike temperature for malt. Probably the easiest analogy is cold brew coffee.
Okay.
So we're trying to make sure that we pull out all the essence of the rye grain and nothing harsh, no harsh notes, none of that big toasted notes that maybe you get if you were heating up. Not exactly that way.
Gotcha.
But some of those harsher flavors that maybe you get if you take it all the way to a boil. And we think that we have done a really great job with this whiskey. So ferment for about 4 days. This is all distilled on a column. It's been in a barrel for, I think this whiskey is 6 years old. The cask strength on this is 122.8 proof. We submitted this to a competition in 2018, and we won Best Rye and Show, 96 points, top 100 spirits in the world, Chairman's Trophy. Like, it won everything. But this is not a nice, easy entry into rye. Okay. This is not contradiction bourbon or contradiction rye, or it's not the cask finished, the wheat whiskey finished in Pinot Noir barrels. That is not this. This is big, bold, in your face, mint, eucalyptus, baking spices, cash strength, bold whiskey. This is a rye drinker's rye whiskey. I think this is the best whiskey that we have ever put into a bottle.
Okay.
Not ever made because it's in a barrel.
Sure.
But the best whiskey we've ever put into a bottle that's made in West Virginia is this whiskey.
Awesome.
And I'm really excited for you to taste it. It's great. Cheers.
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah. Wow.
That's
Yeah.
bold. That's big. That is not to take light. You don't take this whiskey light.
Nope, but you nailed it. That is not an intro whiskey. That's a professional drinker right there. It's so damn good.
It's big and
Yeah.
bold and long finish on it. It's a tiny bit dry on the very back of your palate. I think that's proof and rye whiskey, but it lasts for forever. I'm in love with this whiskey right here. If I was going to pick one thing right now that we make in-house, 100% in-house, and that is the best thing that we make, this is the example that I would give. So just absolutely love this whiskey.
That is fucking good. All right, so question 5 comes down to the Whiskey Wednesday coin. You can flip it, you can spin it, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to answer. The coin will give us the answer. So it's a yes or no question.
Yes or no?
And again, it's just a fun way to end the night and just
Perfect.
Perfect. Again. But all right, so question 5. Lewisburg was named best small town in America. Is that because of you?
Spin the coin now?
Yeah.
Hold on, let's see here. Here we go. Let's flip it.
All right, perfect.
What do you think?
Says fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah!
Yeah.
Love this shot. Fuck yeah on one side.
Fuck no on the other.
On the other. I think this is a very official coin.
Yeah.
It's very official. Yeah, this has got to be the government.
There you go.
I love this, man.
Uh,
Drinking with friends. This is great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Again, thank you so much. I really appreciate the invite, and this has just been amazing 2 days, and until we can drink together again in person.
Glad you're here. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.